Across the entirety of the Zelda series, all of the games have many draws that fans would say put them above all the others. One of these aspects, I feel, is the tutorial, or the first half an hour to hour and a half, the opening phase of the game, that every Zelda game has to really capture and drive home the story as well as gameplay mechanics. It became very popular around Ocarina and all of the 3D Zelda titles. But the very first Zelda title that I feel really encapsulates the entirety of this idea is A Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Right from the get-go, with the pouring rain, you are open to a scene of Link laying in bed, receiving a telepathic message from Zelda. We understand that things have already started moving. Zelda is in prison. She's in the jail cell of the basement because a wizard named Aghanim has overtaken the kingdom and has brainwashed all of the knights. After but so long of staying in bed, Link runs out of the door to go chase after his uncle, who said that he would arrive back by morning, but we find him beat up and left for dead inside of the sewers. Parting a few last farewell words, as far as we're aware of anyways, he gives us the sword and the shield with a quick explanation on how to actually use these things in combat. This immediately becomes important as we walk straight into the next room. There are 2 knights that we need to take out. It is also interesting to note how there is an empty torch that's not lit, and you can try to light it. And when you do light it, you see that there is a faint haze, that the room lights up a little more. But overall, that darky, hazy feeling that was initially there is still there, and if you wait for so long, the lamp will go back out to return to the status quo. And that is because tonally, this game is completely dark. From the moment you wake up out of bed to the moment you pick up the sword and shield, it's driving home that this is going to be a dark game, and that at all points in time, the status quo will be returned. It's fitting that Link's first weapon or item that he gains in this game is the lamp. And it's literally because Link is the only light throughout the entirety of the kingdom that keeps going, that the kingdom has a chance of surviving, of winning. After receiving the sword and shield and getting out of that initial sewer, we then run straight into Hyrule Castle, where we make our way for the basement. This basement is where truly the combat starts to take fold, as you need to eliminate some of the brainwashed knights in order to gain keys and items to progress further within this dungeon. Once you reach the bottom of the basement, you go up against a dark knight with a ball and chain, which apparently is very vulnerable to pottery. But after taking him down your first initial time, you're introduced to the big key. This big key is essential to every dungeon going forward, as with this big key, you are able to open up the big chest to gain the item of interest for this dungeon, as well as enter the boss room. After gaining the big key, you're also reunited with Zelda, which means it's now time to hightail it out. After scourging our way all the way to the bottom of the prison, to now having to escape through the sewers behind the throne in order to reach the sanctuary. This symbolism for this introduction is really fitting, because this is showing that even though we thought things were bad when we found our uncle laid out inside of the sewer, things are even worse. Link and Zelda are running away with their tails between their legs in order to escape this unfortunate circumstances. Upon reaching the sanctuary, it's discussed that the only way to come back with a victory, to reclaim the kingdom, is to find the Master Sword, which is, this is the first instance we ever ever hear of the Master Sword within the series, but they build it up to be a mythical, magical item, which in its own right, it totally is. But up until this point, it's been established that in this universe, in this game alone of the introduction, there are lots of mystical elements, as with the telepathy, with Zelda contacting us and the brainwashing of the knights. So it is fair belief to understand that there is a mystical blade that can repel all evil. After achieving the Master Sword later, post-tutorial, we then find ourselves back inside of the same situation of attacking the castle. However, instead of going to the basement to symbolize starting at the bottom, we now make our way to the top, the tippity top of the castle, in order to show the growth of our adventure. After traversing the entirety of Hyrule, we now have made it to the top of the castle, the highest peak, to where we were running with our tails between our legs earlier from, to now take on the wizard Aghanim to rescue Princess Zelda. This payoff for this event, climbing the tower, filling the anticipation of the confrontation, all of that would not have been possible without the beautiful tutorial sequence of storming the castle the very first time to rescue Princess Zelda, learning game mechanics, but also claiming and understanding the tone that this game carries throughout the entirety of it in terms of the darkness that this Hyrule has surrounded within it. Tell me what you think about the tutorial aspect of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Is it your favorite, or do you think a different Zelda game does a better job at introducing you to the world? Leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.